The show starts in 1 minute.
Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater. And now, on with the show.
Hello and welcome to episode 92 of Saturday Matinee Theatre, brought to you by your friends at the LONGBOX CRUSADE. We are here in Casa de Vega in our recording studio, set up in one of the many unused rooms in the Vega home. I am your host, Jared Albrecht, the yard sale artist, and joining me, as always, is the fill-up to my James. It is Pat Sampson, a.k.a. DJ Cristados. Buenos dias, amigo Cristados, y bienvenidos.
De nada. ¿Cómo se llama?
I said good day and welcome, and you said
De nada.
welcome.
Yep. De nada.
You're welcome.
Feliz Navidad.
Yes. Okay.
And,
sure.
Yep. Buenos dias, buenos noches, nachos Belgrande to you.
One of you has some Hispanic in him, correct? And it's not Jared.
I'm fully married to one, but somebody here is like 50%.
I got
Back on mute.
But that's a good segue because we're back at Casa del Vega. That means just me and Dave are checking in again. We're coming to check in on Pat and Dave's come down on them tacos. Having a good time doing that.
I think there's the great graphic.
Yep.
Yes, for those watching. I think the guy who edits the show texted me during his last edit. It was like, if Pat mentions come down on taco one more time.
Oh, get used to it.
Pow, right in the kisser. Pow, right in the kisser. Pow, right in the kisser.
Well, get used to it because that's where we are. That's what we do. We're definitely going to have some good deals going on later on, and I will let you know what those are. But in the meantime, I want you guys to just freeze. Put your hands up. I'm here to save the day, and nobody move.
You're like Ronaldo from the very beginning of this. I get it. Good job, Pat. Now, also joining us is our enthusiastic butler. The actual Ronaldo of our team is my brother, Jason, the Weasel Skull Albrecht. How are you today, Jason? Have you had a come down on them taco yet?
Oh, I've had a couple come down on them tacos, and then I've been coming down on that porcelain throne, if you know what I'm saying. But it's worth it. It's worth it. They come back. That's what I'm saying. But
get a refund.
That's right. It's 2 for the price of 1. So it's been good. I've been keeping busy. A lot of tracking in and out of the house. Zorro running through the mud and everything, and tracking in. I got to clean it up. Having trouble with the dishes though. Those dishes, I don't really have time to dry them with the towels, so I've been letting them air dry and have a little bit of film and spots on them. Any pro tips we have?
We may have something for you coming up.
All right, I'll stand by and see if you guys can help me out with some pro tips on how to make those dishes shine.
We have the LONGBOX CRUSADE headquarters. All of our shows give you a little something that help you through life. And you know what's a little something that's helped me through my life for the past, it's been like 30 years. Oh, it gets a little more depressing every time I look at the numbers. Anyway, it is the evil land baron himself, J.A. Marsden, a.k.a. Delvin the Dark Web Williams. How's that land grab business going, Delvin?
I'm not sure. I think I did something in this episode.
Unclear.
I have no idea what. So I'm going to assume business is good. Let's go with that.
Oh, my gosh. It's 2025, Delvin. We did literally meet each other 30 years ago. And that is in no way depressing.
I did the math sometime earlier this year, and it's just like...
Is it past the point of no return?
It was for me years and years ago.
Okay.
I'm stuck with him.
Well, you want to feel old. My son turns 30 this year. My son turns 30.
That's the end of the episode. Screw all this.
I saw some real, Jared, since we're on the topic of us being old. It was, somebody was like, look, you can't drink in here. Like, you have to be at least 21 years old. He's like, oh, yeah, I was born in 2004. And then the music. You can say where the wind blows. Only time. Like, what?
Oh. Oh, man. I think I was going to my third duty location in 2004.
But What's going on?
That's enough of that. That's enough. I want to welcome Heinz K to the chat and Auburn Elvis Bowl. Thanks for being here. In the chat, Aaron Moss chimes in and says, oldest son turns 32 in a couple of weeks. How are you not dead, Aaron Moss?
One more thing is I saw a thing on Facebook or somewhere that it said Star Wars Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith is 20 years old.
Oh, my God. Yeah.
Man.
Yeah, I think I read that the PlayStation 3 is like 19. Wow. Anyways, Pat, do the show description.
All right. Well, Jared, I'm glad you asked. Let's get even older than what we are right now. Let's go ahead and talk about Saturday Matinee Theatre and what it is all about. It's a retro review show brought to you by the LONGBOX Crusade, where we'll be taking you back to the past with some potentially overlooked retro awesomeness in the realm of television, movie serials, or films. Basically, if it's vintage and it's kind of forgotten, we're going to dig it up. On this episode, we will continue our dive into 1937's Zorro serial. Zorro Rides Again. 1937's Zorro serial was produced by Sol C. Siegel. It starred John Carroll as Zorro, Helen Christian as Joyce, Reed Howells as Philip, Duncan Ronaldo as Ronaldo, Noah Beery as J.A. Marston, and Richard Alexander as El Lobo. So grab your 6 shooters, oil your whip, and ride into adventure. But don't forget, ride off singing along to a fun song.
Well, thank you, Pat. And before we hand it over to Delvin for the episode info, take a look, or in this case, a listen to a commercial that would have been playing at the time this episode was released back in 1937. So help us get in the right time frame of mind, if you will, and transport us back into the 30s. For this episode's commercial retro rewind, we have Dreft.
Say, what a pretty park. But there's no time for loping. We're on the way to Mrs. Smith's. Here we are, but it's the back door for us. We'll find her in the kitchen. What did I tell you? She's doing her dishes. Look here, Mrs. Smith. Hold on to that towel. Let those darn dishes dry by themselves. 15 minutes later. Gosh, I suppose I should have known. Look at that streaky dishpan film. In the movies, we can take film off this way. But since you haven't Hollywood technique handy, let this smart woman show you another more practical way. She uses Dreft, remarkable new suds improvement. And here's what happens when these dishes have been rinsed and allowed to dry by themselves. See? No trace of scummy dishpan film. They're sparkling clear without polishing. Now, look at those 2 glasses side by side. You can see the difference yourself. Ask your dealer for Dreft. Remember, you must be completely satisfied or return the box and get double your money back.
All right. Now, the very first time I watched this commercial, and at first he said, we're going to visit Mrs. Smith and we're going to go in the back door. I knew it was going to happen. So we're done with that. Okay.
Just get it out. Just get it out now.
Just get the giggles out.
Okay,
now.
got it. Yeah.
All right. Because I knew that it would be irresistible to at least one, if not all 3 of you. So all that aside, it looks like, I believe, the first person that gets to talk about Dreft is Delvin.
What's up with that logo? Is that like a negligee behind the logo? What is that?
I thought it was like a house apron or something.
It does look like a negligee. Now that you mentioned it, I still have it on my screen. Yeah, I didn't give it a second thought until you said something just now, and it was still frozen on my screen.
Wait a
Well,
minute.
Mr. Smith is visiting Mrs. Smith in the back door. So
Hey, Jason, I said no.
And Pat was on it too. Jason just overpowered him with the voice. I heard you, Pat. Like God, gentlemen, get your mind out of the gutter while we're live.
Yeah, while we're live.
When we're not live, you do what you want. Anyway, I thought that was weird. That was weird. The lack of anything like fancy with the logo too. It was just like Dreft. And actually the name itself, Dreft. Does it motivate you to do anything? It's just like, ugh.
It's funny you should say that, though, because when I pick these commercials, I pick them well in advance of release, like well in advance. I probably picked it up, put it on the calendar almost a year ago. And as you guys may remember on our last recording, we met last week to record a Bond. I said, hey, the commercials for Dreft, and I couldn't remember what it was for. So I think that kind of speaks to your point. Like Dreft, it's like, what is the product? Like, it
at least advertised what it was well enough on the commercial itself.
Right. Yeah.
But like, if you are looking for a new product and then you look and it's just like Dreft, it's just like, unless it was like Dreft and then like the store brand, and you know that the store brand is kind of and not that good. So you just say, okay, I'll give Dreft a try. That's it.
Well, you're going to be pleasantly surprised when you don't have any streaks on those air dried dishes.
That's true. And maybe
where did they come up? What does Dreft mean? I mean, even is it somebody's name or like, is it mean something? Like,
all right, somebody start Googling the history of the Dreft company because
I will. And before I do that, I do want to apologize for using the A word when Jared asked us not to talk about the back door.
Pat, go ahead, back to you.
Dreft comes from like when people drive their cars really fast and then they do like a wheelie and it turns.
That's drift. I think what you were thinking. I think drift means like when you're involuntarily enlisted into the military.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's the draft.
Okay,
no, that's like if you leave a window open or a door.
That's
open.
also a draft.
Oh,
or I thought it was like a tankard of beer, like a.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
That's also draft.
Not a draft. We just don't know.
What is it? I wasn't sure on what it was either when we did meet and have talked previously, as you were talking about. I thought it was the laundry detergent that's usually used for like newborns or people with allergies. It's Dreft. Maybe they moved from this dishes formula.
They probably do both. There's a lot of soap companies that do both. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what I remembered the name from, at least. And it
so
was
you
like,
knew it. That's neat.
Well, I didn't know it was dish. I thought it was the laundry detergent. Unless she's putting laundry detergent and they're like, this doesn't really work good for dishes anymore.
It probably is the same company making
the same
products.
Thing.
Yeah. It's interesting that you had at least
the name.
General
yeah. I found it interesting. In my house yet, we don't have a dishwasher. Well, I guess we do. I'll raise my hand. And so they're like, just leave it for 15 minutes. 15 minutes. Let that stuff sit in that sink for a good hour.
Yeah.
The next day until you need something, until you can't find something in your drawers anymore. And then, like, then you got to dig through it because you put it all in the bottom and it's just like, So if anybody wants to help me out, and I'll start a fund for Pat's washing.
Come down on them dishes.
Yeah. Come down on them dishes. Yep.
We will help out at the LBC dishes the same way we do Christmas decorations.
Oh, okay. Good. Good. Things are going to be changing, boys.
Well, Auburn Elvis is helping out by saying synthetic detergents represented an improvement in laundry washing because these synthetic materials are less susceptible to hard water. Dreft has been around since 1933. It was first produced by Procter & Gamble. It was the first synthetic detergent. It's still around today. Like, I looked it up and you can buy it off of Amazon, even though the logo is a little bit nicer and friendlier. But instead of dishwashing, is now advertised to mothers of newborns.
There you go. All right. The final word of Dreft goes to Jason.
Did I hear that right? That you get double your money back if you're not satisfied?
Yeah, I would have ran a scam too.
I would have too. I bought 200 boxes of Dreft and they all stuck. It's like, boy,
I'm going to need that money back. I'm going to need double.
That's right. I was like, man, they were really trusting the consumer back then. I think about that today, like how, like customer satisfaction. They're like, screw you, customer. We got your money. It was a different time. It was a simpler time. There was an understanding, I guess, between the consumer and the product. My ears picked up and I started seeing dollar signs when I heard double my money back if I'm not satisfied. I'm making some money today.
Exactly. I thought, I'm running a scam. Auburn Elvis helps out once again. The chat kind of helps explain the nightgown on the box. He said that his bet is an all-purpose gentle detergent, meaning you can use it in the wash machine or at the sink with the dishes. And being in the 1930s, I believe that is probably true. Auburn Elvis is on fire when it comes to detergent. Didn't they used to have detergent jokes on South Park? Was it like the chef was always like, these kids always leaving their detergent laying around? That rings to this. Anybody? South Park fans? Nope. All right. Maybe I made it up in my head. Anyway, speaking of things I made up in my head, for 30 years, I've had a pretend friend that I talk to. His name is Delvin. And now that we're in the 1930s mindset, Delvin's going to drop episode info.
I mean, that's a pretty good pretend friend, Jared. Everyone else can see me too. So, Chapter 5 was titled Sky Pirates. Pew, 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 pew. Release date. It was estimated release records for this one's kind of been lost to time, but we're going to assume November 13th, 1937. The directors were William Whitney and John English, with writers Frank Adrian, Morgan Cox, Barry Shipman, John Rathmell, and Ronald Davidson. As a reminder, all 12 episodes are available on YouTube. We highly encourage you to watch this episode before proceeding with this podcast, because not only is it just more fun that way, but Jared is about to give a synopsis about this episode, and then we're going to discuss it. There are going to be some spoilers heading your way, I guess, on this episode, if anyone figures out what's going on. But if you haven't watched this episode, we recommend you pause here, go check it out on YouTube, come back to join our discussion. It's about 17 minutes per episode, so it's not that big of a time demand. For those of you who are watching along with us, we love to hear your insights. Don't forget to give your comments on contact@longboxcrusade.com, at LONGBOX CRUSADE on X, Facebook, Instagram, or Blue Sky, or leave a voice message at 707-532-5269 at 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the non-streaky phone.
Pick it up. And with that, let's turn it over to Jared for the episode summary.
Lather.
I was trying to think of a jingle. You got that's good. Lather. That's the way to go. Saw Zorro, or Zorro, as some people say, he was caught in a trap by El Lobo and his men, some dressed as fake cops. And El Lobo was about to unmask Zorro. Now, luckily, trusty Ronaldo showed up just in time to get the drop on El Lobo. But one of the fake cops makes a break for it. In my notes, it says, with all the stolen land deeds, which I guess he didn't, because I'm going to have to double back on that. I thought he did. This is why this episode's confusing. Let me continue. And Zorro pursues him. After Zorro leaves, more of El Lobo's men arrive to get the drop on Ronaldo, Philip, and Joyce. But the real cops show up to get the drop on the bandits who got the drop on our heroes after they got the drop on El Lobo, who had just gotten the drop on Zorro.
It's a trace buster.
That is actually accurate, and I had to keep up with all that for this synopsis. Meanwhile, Zorro catches up with the fake cop and his accomplice, and both Zorro and his horse proceed to beat them mercilessly until Joyce, Philip, Ronaldo, and the real cop show up. Zorro does some singing and links up with Ronaldo at the Zorro cave, where they listen in on Marsden and Lobo's plan to do some kind of a prison break and get the deeds out by air. I think one of the prisoners, Duncan, is El Lobo's pilot, even though I'm not sure how El Lobo was still holding on to those land deeds. Anyway, somehow he still got him. I think he needs Duncan to fly him out. Anyway, Zorro disguises himself as one of El Lobo's men named Manny in the prison and escapes with the evil gang in the jailbreak. Just as his infiltration is discovered, Zorro manages to steal the plane with Duncan and the deeds on board and taxi it for almost 50 yards before the gang's bullets cause him to crash. By the way, he never goes airborne. There are no pirates. So why it's called Sky Pirates, I don't know. That's it. all that, it was a 17 minutes, I think, something like that. I'm tired now. So I'm going to do some highs and lows with the fellas.
So I missed episode 4. And so I went back and watched 4 and 5. And the danger of that is sometimes when I miss one, I kind of bleed it into this episode. I will say, Jared, I think because I watched 4, I realized that the guy that was dressed as the police officer, who I believe was Duncan, when the one guy says, hey, take the deed to the other guy who rides off, and Duncan, he was supposed to stay behind and ambush Zorro, sharpshoot him off the horse.
Right. Okay.
And that's how he got captured. I won't go back to 4 and ask you because I thought Zorro got shot, but maybe not because like the horse fell and he fell.
Like faked getting shot, I think. Yeah.
So, okay. So that part kind of made sense to me. Setting that up, I'm going to go with a low because Sky Pirates, I wanted to see that plane take off. I wanted to see some daring do in the air. I wanted to see how Zorro, who as far as I know has never flown a plane in his life, what he intended to do with that plane. Was he just going to taxi it all the way back to the hacienda?
No, he's going to taxi about 50 feet before he crashes into something.
but no, all I get is like almost Sky, almost a pirate. And there was a lot of stuff that led up to the almost Sky Pirate stuff. So I feel like I was let down a little bit by the title.
I think when we get to feedback from last episode, which was called Unmasked, I think someone in the feedback might have mentioned something about almost, by the way.
Well, if we're going to talk about the last one, I have questions about, because I thought he got his foot stuck in the train track and how he got out of that. Like,
you missed it? Oh, it was cool. He got the whip and he whipped the train track handle and yanked it so the track moved and he was able to save the train in his foot. That was actually a good part.
Because when I saw it, it just showed him fight and then it didn't show what happened. It's just the train was rolling by.
I wonder if you found like an odd copy on the internet.
I must have found an odd copy. But at least with the unmasked one, when they left it for this cliffhanger, well, I'll let somebody else speak. Well, I'm carrying on too long.
Okay. Next up, I always mix up the rotation in case you didn't know behind the scenes on the script, so it's not the same order every time. It's Delvin.
I'm actually glad that some people went first because unlike Jason, I did not go back and look at 4. Even though, like Jason, I was not here last episode for reasons or whatever. I was at the gym watching this. I was on just riding on the bike and then just did a little treadmill walk and I'm looking at it and I'm like, what is going on? I don't need something that is so bare bones that anyone could get it, that a simpleton could get it. But I do need it so that it's it was black and white. Then maybe it was just a copy. It was a little bit difficult to see. And then I saw a whole bunch of costume changes, a lot of costume changes. And it was just after a certain fashion, I didn't know what was going on. I too thought that Zorro, he was shot at and it looked like he was hit and fell off the horse and then just immediately gets up and starts moving again. And it's he could not have known he was being shot at, not riding a horse. He wouldn't have known he was being shot at. He was focused on getting away and then he got shot, but then,
I thought he got shot too, but then he hopped up, didn't seem to have any wounds. I think he literally went singing afterwards. I'm like, I guess.
Yeah, he did. They did a ballad while he was riding. I haven't been as impressed at the Zorro episodes as I wanted to be. But Pat's been here for more, so maybe Pat has a little bit something more happy and delightful to say.
All right, let's find out, Pat.
Well, this one was a little bit different. I felt like it was 2 episodes in one, right? You had the beginning of the unmasking, like you said, what should have been called unmasking or what, you know what I mean? I think they got the titles jobbily up here. Because I would have put the Sky Pirates in that one episode with the plane when it was trying to get the train or something.
That was called Sky something, though, I think.
It might have been, I don't know.
Yeah, it had some kind of Sky name, but...
Yeah. I don't
remember airplanes in 1937 were especially cool.
That's true. So I just felt like this was weird. You had that beginning, then you had the ending, and I'm like, oh, is this ended already? Because he's kind of just singing, and he's like, hey, I'm proud of myself. I got a song. I'm going to sing. I'm singing in the desert, and I'm having fun. Then it goes into kind of the other story of what happens with, hey, you got to get the plans. You got to get them back to Marston now, and the only way to do that is get it on a plane and go from there. So this guy's got a pilot's license, or I suppose back then you probably didn't need a license. You just need to know how to operate a plane, and I don't think he knows how to operate a plane. Well, maybe knows how to operate it to crash or whatever. So much going on in this one.
He can operate it for up to 50 yards on the
And he's like, I don't know what to do. I don't know. Do I push it down or up? Or if I push up, does I go up? It's like one of those backwards things when you're playing a game. It's like up is down and down is up when you're playing the game. It's like,
Pat, all you need to remember is you're either on the plane or off the plane.
Off the plane, yeah.
Or you're being burned alive inside the plane.
Sometimes you just got to fly a MFer into a cliff.
Yep.
Yeah, I guess. Well, we're going to go into round 2. Delvin said something that kind of got me thinking about sort of the serial overall and the serials that we've done, which is what been this and Batman and Flash. Is that all the serials we've done? I feel like
Sherlock Holmes.
Well, that was a show, not a serial, but yeah, I tried.
Gotcha.
That's more content we did.
Yeah, Flash.
Flash is still the king of these things, if you ask me. The entire time, I felt like Zorro's been a little better than Batman. Of course, we had some preconceived notions of Batman, but I feel like this one's been a little better. But this episode in particular was a little rough. But maybe we'll find some. I know I have at least one high point from it, but let me get through you guys for it, and that goes back to Jason.
Well, I mean, I've got a couple high points, but I'll focus on the character of Philip. I'm starting to like him a little bit more too, and I particularly like his polite disdain, shall we say, by Zorro's alter ego. And that scene when and I hope it was in this one.
It was where he was quote unquote Bruce Wayne in it.
he was Bruce Wayne in it big time, man. He just was laid out. He came in off of that ride, off that fight. He had to be bruised up. He had to be sore as hell. And he just sits down and
possibly shot.
Possibly, we don't know. Maybe shot. And he sits down and he's reading that book. The reason why I like it is because Phil does a lot of show don't tell, right? Like he kind of comes in and he's like, where were you? Curtly, but he doesn't like just go off. You can tell he's holding back. He's trying to be nice. He's trying to be polite, but the look he's giving them is just like, you worthless people.
Well, Delvin's good at guessing. Let's see what he's got good for Zorro. Maybe he doesn't have a good for Zorro. We're gonna find out.
It's sort of about Zorro. I will give credit to the main actor. I'm glad Jason mentioned him because, I did think that was a particularly good part where he comes out of the big Zorro, basically out of his cave, and then he has to play the role. But what it started getting me thinking about is, I remember, at this point, it's been 20, 25 years ago or whatever, that maybe I shouldn't credit Bendis with it, but Bendis was the first the guy that they let start writing mainstream, and he started getting a little bit fuzzy with the secret identity thing because he was like, this is dumb. What's the use of having a secret identity? Or and clearly the obvious point of having the secret identity is the entire world doesn't need to know these things that I'm doing because it could visit hell upon my actual civilian life. Right. I get it. There is no reason that Zorro doesn't have to tell his folks. None. Zero. Absolutely none. And he should absolutely take the mask off hey, I'm Zorro. I have to play this role in front of everyone else, but you are my family that you're relying on. So I have no reason other than it amuses me to do so, to dupe you into thinking that I am this worthless dilettante that's just sitting around being rich.
Having Philip and Joyce in on it would probably be helpful in the same way it is with Ronaldo.
Right.
That's a really good point.
I think it would be funnier to have Joyce in on it, and then she starts duping Philip and just
everybody. It's just a big gaslighting of Philip. Everybody knows what Philip. All right, Delvin, that's you.
That's me.
That's all right. Then I guess I got to do what I got to do, which is let Pat bring it on home.
All right, I'll do some good stuff here, and I thought at least some of the good stuff here was a lot of the action. There was some really good action parts.
It's close to my high point of the episode, so I keep going.
Okay, all right. So there was good action in the beginning, a good song, a fun song in the middle, It just made me smile, at least the song. And I'm like, oh, okay, so he's singing and just having a fun time.
He's writing songs about how cool he is.
Yeah.
Whose house?
As one would
Zorro's
do.
house.
Yes, as one would do. Of course. As you're strolling back home to the pad, yeah. Who's a cool guy? I'm a cool guy. Who wants to join me to be two cool guys? That would be my song. It'd be called Cool Guys. There's a lot of fun stuff like that. And then we saw a lot of tropes going on with disguises. He puts on the disguises, and you got to have that. And I think in every serial that we've done, even Flash put on like a disguise at one time or something like that, trying to fool people. Always fun to see. Delvin mentioned the painting, the secret door painting was another fun, just novelty to see that. Gave me a smile.
You did not specifically hit my favorite thing about it, and that is when the horse actually got in on the fisticuffs and beat up a dude.
That was
fantastic.
You got outraged, son.
Swat, 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 swat. That was my favorite part of the episode.
Catch these hooves, son.
There was two guys. One had to fight Zorro. The other had to fight the horse.
I don't know. Yeah, would you want the whip?
I would go up against Zorro all day.
Right. It's like 1, 2, 3. I got the human.
Horse is just standing there looking mean at you, like, ooh. Oh man. So yeah, that was hilarious. Auburn Elvis asked in the chat, do you think the Zorro serial clears we could have made this with the collected money we had in our wallets bar? I'm not sure Batman cleared that. I don't know how I feel about the budget yet. I mean, they did a lot of it made it look like a lot with a lot of horses and a lot of location shooting.
And see, that's what I mentioned. I said horses were involved. And horses ain't cheap. Even if you're renting a horse, ranch you're renting that from, that dude has to think about land and whether or not that horse is going to get endangered and the money it takes to freaking feed the horse and all that, et cetera, et cetera. So if it's got a horse in it, there's no way it could be cheap.
All right. With all of our rounds done on this rather befuddling episode, it is time to get in fun facts with Jared. On this episode, I decided to look at Noah Beery, who plays the mastermind criminal behind all this, J.A. Marsden. He had a very successful career. He started out as a singer and actor from vaudeville, and he actually recorded a couple of hit records. He sold quite a few records, apparently has a very smooth voice. They noticed even from when he was in high school age that everyone really liked his voice, and that kind of carried him into a career into music, vaudeville, and then into theater. His brother Wallace Beery was even more successful as an actor. He won an Academy Award, and for a while he was the highest paid actor in Hollywood. In fact, his contract said the amount he makes is always whatever the highest amount is plus $1. That is literally in his brother's contract. So he would always be the highest paid actor in Hollywood while he was acting. So yeah, Wallace Beery won an Academy Award. That's the brother of the guy playing J.A. Marsden, who was also successful himself. And our guy, Noah Beery, the guy playing J.A. Marsden, is the father of Noah Beery Jr., who also had a very successful film career. It goes all the way back to starting in the late 30s, 40s. In fact, I think on the credits as Noah Beery, our Noah Beery, gets older and older, he changes his name on credits to Noah Beery Sr. because now his son is also acting as well. And we would know the son if you were a big fan of the Rockford Files. He played Jim Rockford's dad on the Rockford Files. So I knew Jason couldn't resist. So yeah, the whole Beery family is sort of this wildly successful Hollywood story, with brother Wallace being the most successful, but Noah Sr. and Jr. both did very well for themselves. And just as a fun side note, in 1920, which was, 17 years before the serial came out, Noah Beery was in a movie called The Mark of Zorro. So this is not his first go around in the Zorro film world. So yeah, interesting thing, the whole Beery family, as I dug into that. And with that, we are going to get into the California Yucatan mailbag, brought to you by the railroad that may or may not get completed.
We haven't rated it yet.
Oh, I skipped the rating. I pulled a Pat.
You did.
Okay.
I don't know. I didn't know what to say there.
No, what is the one? There's one thing we always skip on G.I. Joe. It's like the Silver Star medal.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we always miss one. Anyway, back it up. Let's do Whip Snap rating. Time to rate it 1 to 5. 5 whip snaps means you loved it. 4 means it was very good. 3, it was good. 2, it was just okay. And 1, I didn't like it. I feel like our Whip Snap ratings are going to be a little low on this one, fellas. We'll start with Pat.
Ooh, put me on the spot here. Ooh.
Yeah. I just listened to last episode, and you, Kathy, and I think we all gave it a 4. We all liked it.
Yeah, we all liked it.
If that's at your barometer.
Yeah, it doesn't. For this one, I'm going to go with a 2. I thought it was just okay. I was confused like everybody else. It'd be a high 2.
No, I understand.
Because of the action. I like the action. And yeah, seeing that horse just get all up on that guy's business, man.
No, I understand, because I think it was you who said something earlier about how it felt disjointed. It almost feels like they filmed the whole serial and then they decided to chop it up and they just couldn't figure out
where to chop it up. Yeah, definitely.
It's the feeling it had. So you started us at a 2. I don't think we're going to get much of a bump up from Delvin, but let's find out.
I was willing to give it the most mailed in, unenthusiastic 3. Like, it would have been like, but, since Pat set the bar relatively low there at 2, there will at least be 2 cool guys that also give it a 2. Like, what I need from a serial is, I thought that they had done a pretty good job, I guess, of explaining what was going on. But, like, you can't lose me in 16 minutes. And then if you cut, like, the preview, you can't lose me in, like, 14 and a half minutes. And they lost me. I was like, it got to the point where there's this line, I think it was from 40-Year-Old Virgin, where, like, some guy was saying something to, I think it was Kevin Hart's character. And Kevin Hart was like, I didn't understand what you said, so I'm going to take it as disrespect. Like, I felt like that. It was almost like I watched it for like, it was like, what is going on? I don't get this. I'm angry. So, like, that's where I wound up with it. I'm not off the plane of Zorro, but, like, give me something else. Something's got to pick up for me.
I understand. I mean, 2 is just okay. And I think that's fair for this. But let's see how Jason felt.
I'll mail it in and give it a 3. And I think a lot of that is because I watched 4 and 5 together. And so I think some of 4 probably bled over into 5 for me. So if I'd watched just 5, and especially if I'd missed 4 and just watched 5, I'd probably be there with a 2 as well. But there's a lot that I still liked about it. I think the plot is still good. Like I said, I like the character interaction between Philip and Zorro. I like the villain of Marsden. I like kind of the chess game that they're playing. Jared, I think you nailed it. I think that it felt like they weren't quite sure how to break this one up. It felt a little disjointed. Still enough in there for me to hold on to a 3 for it.
I completely understand. Welcome Jim Meal to the chat. Jim says these ratings are almost at the 3 Amigos level. I don't know what that means, but I kind of like it. I'm going to take it as disrespect, though. I could go for the high 2 or the low 3. I'll go on the 2 just so I get it past the Cool Guy Island, I guess.
Ooh, cool guy. 3 amigos, 3 cool amigos.
Being the guy who wrote the summary for it, it was a lot of watch for 2 minutes, pause, write 4 sentences, watch for 2 minutes, pause, write 4 sentences. Like, oh my goodness, like this is the beginning when it was like, oh, he's about to be unmasked, but because Lobo got the drop on him, but Ronaldo got the drop on him, but the fake cops guys got the drop on him, but then the real guys got just like, come on, man. Oh, anyway. Yeah, we'll go 2s and 3s on this one, and I think that's pretty fair. Now, over to the California Yucatan Railroad mailbag. We are thrilled to kick off these comments with special shout-outs to Crusaders Club members. These are the fine folks that have joined our crusade to get early access to special long box episodes. They get to vote on show content, free raffle entries, and so much more. So these are the folks reaping the benefits and giving some much appreciated support to the show.
Alan W. Wright.
Angelica Wolf.
Oberon Elvis in the chat.
Bill Beer, also in the chat.
Billy D.
Bradley Dello.
Braxton Underwood.
Carrie.
Clayton Robinson.
Captain Entropy.
Clark Westfield.
Dave Collins, Bat Battle Wagon.
Eric Hodges.
Eric Porter.
Ezra Gallo.
Gary V.
Gene Hendricks.
George Meal.
Gerald Green.
Heinz K. Saw him in the chat.
Jason Keene.
Jason Lady.
Jeff Hollier.
Jeremy L.
Jim Jarman, Jim Jarman, Jim Jarman, Jim Jarman. I hope you like Jim Jarman too.
And while I do, he's not in the pack. Not in the pack? He's not in the chat. Jim Meal is, though.
And Joe Man Conan.
Joe Thomas.
John Watson.
Josh Strickland.
Candace Ward.
Captivating Kathy Bright, the immest of viest of piest. She's in the chat.
It's 2 for 1. Matt and Lissy Paso.
Mark Ross.
Maxwell Traver.
Michael Minton.
Miranda W.
P.D. Devins.
Paul Hicks.
It's my buddy Rick from Jeff and Rick Present.
Easter Day. All my troubles seem so far away. I gotta thank Ronald Easter Day.
Who at no extra charge, Jason sang a song. This is the bonus you get from being a club member.
Rob Morgan.
Samantha Maney.
Sean Urbanski.
Spidey 67.
Spreadsheet.
Steve Cronin.
Tim Price.
Tony Pennington.
And Toronto Cop.
If we missed anyone on our list, we apologize. Keep in mind we record these episodes well in advance of release. If you're a recent edition, we'll add you soon, but no worries. Let us know we missed you by sending an email to contact@longboxcrusade.com. We'll get it straightened out. If you're asking yourself, how do I become a Crusaders Club member? Just go on over to patreon.com/longboxcrusade. For as little as $1 a month, you get access to the amazing world of Crusaders Club, and we'd love for you to check it out. And if you don't have any extra scratch laying around, but you still want to help us out here at LBC headquarters, we'd love for you to write a review wherever you're listening to this podcast, write a comment, give us a thumbs up, star ratings, all that stuff helps raise the profile of the show. And we love to share any reviews that you might write on an upcoming episode. All right, we are getting into the shares and retweets and all that stuff from our last Zorro episode, which was Chapter 4, Unmasked, which was Pat coming in off of an old school AM radio because his fiber line was cut. And Kathy stepped in for Delvin and Jason. But hey, you know how we almost always get 2 shares for this show?
Yeah.
We doubled it, boys.
Whoa.
We got 4 shares for the show.
4 cool shares.
Whoa.
Yeah, we'll do the same order. Start with Jason.
Will 1 with Kathy Bright.
Yeah, she helped share the episode that she was on, which is always appreciated.
Very much so. Thank you. And thanks for stepping in for me, Kathy.
Dave Collins, the Battle Van. Oh, I'll say it right for one time. Yeah, and he's probably he's been featured in the past several with Pat and Dave's Come Down on Them Tacos.
Yes. Yep.
All right. So, he had to reshare too.
Our next one is Bill from the Bat Pod. Thank you, Bill, for sharing.
And I'll bring it home with another extended family member of LBC. It is Jim Meal. Thanks for sharing, Jim, even though it had nothing to do with G.I. Joe. Actually, Pat, if Zorro was a G.I. Joe figure, I think he would match most closely with what's that? The guy, the Headman, I think is his name. He wears the hat. He's got the Zorro style hat.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, the Headman.
Watch out for the Headman.
Watch out for the Headman.
And I think since Jason brought this up earlier, he deserves to read the lone comment that we got on social media for the Unmasked episode. Jason, would you read the comment, sir?
I'm going to assume this is from Gene Hendricks' dad because it's from Eugene Hendricks here. So that's a very dapper name there. So Eugene says, I feel cheated. The title should have been Almost Unmasked.
I agree. And I like the way that his X account, it cut off so many characters. It says Eugene R. Hendricks, voice actor / homestead. I don't know what the rest of it is, but he's a homestead.
So that's a homestead. Yeah. I too am a homestead, Gene.
We got some comments in here from Aaron. What's Aaron saying? So you're saying we could save money by canning Jason and the Dark Web and replace him with Kathy? Yeah, our budget guys are looking into it.
Yeah, I don't know how much money you're saving.
It's part of our appeal. We come very cheaply.
It's almost like we work for free.
Delvin's has got t-shirts. I don't even begrudge him that. Anyways, if you want to be like Gene and leave a comment, we would love for you to do that. And one of the most fun ways to do that is via our voicemail. I mentioned it earlier, 707-532-5269. Leave us a voicemail. We'd love to play it on the show. Give us your thoughts on the Zorro cereal, Zorro in general, draft. We'd love to hear it. 707-532-5269, 707-532-LBOX.
Pick up the phone.
Thought we were going to get away with one. Over to Jason.
I was waiting for the lather there. That's it for this episode of Saturday Matinee Theatre. If you'd like to hear more from us in the realm of comic books, action films, and more, check us out on the Longbox Crusade. Pat, where can they find that?
Well, Jason, I am glad you asked. You can find the Longbox Crusade on Spotify, Amazon Audible, pretty much all those podcatchers out there. Just go ahead and look up longboxcrusade.com. We're also on the YouTube as well, or go to www.longboxcrusade.com and you can find us there. You can find us also on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and as I mentioned before, YouTube. For those of you that like to watch us live stream, go ahead and come out there and YouTube at Longbox Crusade and find us, like us, and share us. Back to you, Jason.
Thank you, Pat. And if you want to hear us on our trek through all things James Bond, you can check us out on Her Majesty's Secret podcast. Jared, where can that be found?
Well, Jason, I'm glad you asked. Our most recent recording was just last week. We covered 3 more of the trailers, the original trailers for Octopussy, View to a Kill, and The Living Daylights. It was a fun discussion. So for those of you watching live, that'll be coming out in a couple of weeks. I already have it edited, but I spaced them out, so a couple of weeks. Anyways, that's what's been going on over at James Bond. And if you want to know more about that, you can check us out at Podbean, but pretty much all your podcatchers out there on Her Majesty's Secret podcast. If it's not on your podcatcher, let us know, and we'll forward that to our founder, Van Plexico, and see what he can do about it. But until then, you can always go directly to www.secretpodcast.podbean.com, or you can chat with us on Twitter at OHMSPod.
Thank you, Jared. And if you'd like to chat with us online, we can be found at Pat. Go ahead and kick us off.
Well, Jason, I'm glad you asked. Of course, we are here in Zorro. We're in Casa del Vega. And as I mentioned earlier, me and Dave are here. We're checking out our restaurant, which is called Pat and Dave's Come Down on Them Tacos. So make sure you come out to Pat and Dave's Come Down Tacos. Our special while we are here and while you're listening is 50% off the waffle taco. In case you're wondering what that is. Well, it's a warm waffle filled with breakfast sausage, bacon, and scrambled eggs just for that morning rush. As you're trying to get onto that plane, you come on down to Pat and Dave's Come Down on Tacos and get that waffle taco.
Not get on that plane. It's not getting off the taxiway. Does sound delicious, though.
All right, Pat. I don't know how much of that's going to make it in, but...
Oh, it'll make it all in. You can find me on the X at Christato01. Delvin?
Okay.
You can find me on Blue Sky, DEERAY1977, and Instagram and Threads, Delvin Ray. Jason.
Well, you can find me on Nothing at All. If you want to get a hold of me, go ahead and leave a number at our long box number, or get a hold of Jared or somebody and we'll get in touch with me. Jared, where can they find you?
I had to provide the same service for Dave Collins for the longest time. Anyway, I am at Yard Sale Artist on X, Facebook, and Instagram. It's all at Yard Sale Artist.
All right. Well, get your quiver filled with arrows and get ready to fight against taxation without representation, because our next episode will continue our journey through the 1955 adventures of Robin Hood, the TV series. We'll see you next episode for episode 12. The Highlander? What? Connor McLeod is going to be in this episode?
I can only hope.
I can't wait. The meetup location, Sherwood Forest.
Please remember to replace the speaker on the post when you leave the theater.
Outtakes.
Hello, no, Celia.
Hey, yo.
Hey. Now the debate is, do I leave that in or edit it out? Outtakes, even though
2025.
Wait, I don't edit the show. Here we go. 3, 2, and...